It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Welcome to County-Wide. I'm Paul David. Good to have you in studio with us today. I have Lieutenant Ken Morley with the Prescott Police Department and Lead Officer Matt Medina with us as well today. Welcome, guys.
Good morning.
Good to see you. It's been years, Ken.
It has.
Long time.
I missed you.
Yeah, we both aged, haven't we?
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Maybe.
A little bit. I'm honest about it. September 15th through the 21st is National Child Passenger Safety Week. You sent me a press release a couple of weeks ago. We did a story on it. We ran it pretty heavy this last weekend. Matt's here today to kind of fill us in on some of the laws and regulations as far as car seats and booster seats and people like myself in a car, how we're supposed to be buckled up. Right now, your release said car crashes are the leading cause of death for children 1 to 13 years of age. And Matt, you had some numbers too just before the show that you were talking about. And we'll get to those too, but they're pretty alarming. And then according to the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, it says that in 2012 they found that seatbelt use was at 82%. And I think that's, I'm not sure if that was across the board or just for adults, but then the child restraint usage, these seats that we have sitting with us in studio today, only 75%. Right. Of kids are actually in car seats, which is kind of a scary number, and that brings up your numbers, Matt. And that's the lowest it's been in 10 years, which I find to be odd that it seems like we're going backwards with this. Now you, Matt, you've got some expertise in the child safety seats.
I did. I attended a 2-week course for installing properly seats, and I have 2 kids of my own. And it wasn't until after the class that I realized that I wasn't properly putting my kids in safety restraint. So a lot of good information.
Do you guys find when you pull people over that a lot of the car seats and booster seats like we have here just are not in right?
I do, yes. Yeah. A lot of parents, their kids just don't like being in restraint, and so they allow them just to sit in the seat without the proper harness or even a belt on.
Oh, is that what you're seeing as the most common? Because that was my first question. What's kind of one of the most common things you find when you do a traffic stop and there's kids in the car? Is that the most common?
It is.
They're sitting in this.
Or they're old enough where they can get out of the belt themselves, and the parents just don't pay any attention. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So the kids are snapping themselves loose from this thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. So it's not exactly how it's installed in the car, but.
Well, most of the times I find that it's installed properly in the vehicle, which is important, but the child has to remain in it for it to be effective, and that's where we're seeing the difference.
Without moving the seat right here, what is the correct way to install? Is it different for each one, or is it pretty uniform?
It can be a little bit different. Always refer to the owner's manual with the seat. It'll show you where the belt path should be on the seat itself. The movement of the seat is important. Make sure that it's secured properly in the seat where we don't have a lot of lateral movement in about an inch and a half. At the belt path, if you see my hand here, just move the seat back and forth. If it doesn't move more than an inch and a half, then it's tight enough in the seat.
And if it's not tight enough,
it's important.
We pull on the shoulder strap? What do we do?
What I ask parents to do, and all my parents install their own seats, we are just there to assist with that, is I have them put a knee on it and sit in the seat. And then, yes, with the retractor, move the belt back. So
put your knee in the seat, push it down a little bit.
It adds a little bit of weight to it and give it a little bit of a tug. Yeah. Okay. And then I see a lot of my parents where they really grab the seat and try to move it. That's not the biggest issue. It's just at the belt path, real nice, easy movement. And if it moves more than an inch and a half, tighten it a little bit more. You don't have to over tighten it in the seat. It doesn't have to depress into the seat 2 inches. I've seen that as well, where parents will really lean on it, and that's not necessary for it to work effectively.
I suppose you might see us get a little lazy too, huh? Because, you know, so many worlds now, we've got 2 houses that the kids are going to, and so, you know, mom's got the car seat in her car, and we're at the meeting point, and then maybe we just don't want to take the time.
Switching them out, those kind of things.
Right, absolutely. It's just best to leave a seat once it's installed properly, leave it in that vehicle. They're not that expensive where you can't purchase two seats for different vehicles. We try to recommend that. If you do have to move the seat from vehicle to vehicle, you need to be comfortable with that particular vehicle and making sure that it's installed properly.
Well, Matt, what's the big deal? I've got my kid in the back seat. I've got seat belts back there. Why can't I just put the seat belt on the kid?
Well,
say they're 2.
Right. The seat belts are designed for adults or young adults, not for our children. So a regular seat belt is going to be too high on the shoulder. Most young people will put the shoulder portion of the belt behind them, and it's the spine injuries that we're seeing because the body of a child extends too far forward, and that's where we're seeing most of our injuries is in the extension of their spine. So that shoulder belt's very important to prevent them from extending forward. So
and even with a minor crash, you can get an injury on a small child if he's not belted in properly. So that's the concern.
Yes, sir.
In case that jolt forward and that jolt back that just dislodges everything.
Right. Their hips are being restrained with the lap belt, but their back is being extended forward, and that's where, like I said, we get those spine injuries.
Do you watch for this in general when you're out on patrol?
I do. I ride a motor for a living, and I look specifically for that. The law has changed recently where it allows us to make an initial stop. It used to be a secondary if I see a child that I believe is under 8 that's not properly restrained in a vehicle.
Oh, so is that different for the Click It and Ticket Week? Because I know the Click It and Ticket Week is solely designed for that, because then you guys can stop motorists that aren't wearing their seatbelt. But it's different.
It is.
The kids?
It's different for the kids.
When did that change?
But that will be, we'll do the same type of enforcement, and actually it's if somebody's not wearing a seatbelt, we'll always address that. It's just that campaign pushed through the Governor's Office of Highway Safety is for that specific issue, but we will always address car seats and seatbelt violations.
But you can now stop a car. If I'm driving down the road and you see my kids bouncing around the back seat, not in car seats.
Right, we don't have to.
You could stop me.
That's a primary.
Yes.
It's a primary stop.
Okay.
You as a driver, as a motorist, if you're not wearing your seatbelt, that's a secondary violation. It's not something that I would stop you for on that alone. It would have to be another violation of law.
Why is that? Do we know why it's like that? It seems to me if I don't have my seatbelt on, you should be able to stop me.
We don't make those decisions. You know, that's a legislative decision. That's the voters making a decision, and I think they've asked it to be a secondary stop, and we just enforce it as we see. But it is. I mean, it's important. I mean, there's nothing stopping Matt from when he's out there reminding somebody. I mean, he doesn't have to make a traffic stop. He just have to give them the universal sign to put your seatbelt on. So, and a lot more people are in compliance than they've ever been, which we're happy to report that, you know, but we want 100% compliance on that. Save yourself from really getting hurt. So.
You said before the show started that, I mean, I mentioned this 82% now of adults are wearing their seatbelts, where you can remember years where that was not the case.
Oh, nobody wore a seatbelt.
I can remember when I didn't wear a seatbelt.
Right, and I'd be a hypocrite if I say I didn't too. I mean, back in the day, it wasn't pushed as much, and I don't think the safety restraint devices were as good as they used to be. They're comfortable now. You hardly even know you have them on, but it's changed, and like I said, we'd like 100% compliance, but that's what we're shooting for, but it's much better than it used to be. Yeah,
I've been wearing mine for 16 years now. That's exactly how long I've been married, and she got in the truck with me one time, and she's like, "What are you doing? Why aren't you wearing your seatbelt?" "I just never do." And been wearing it ever since, though, I can tell you that much. It saves lives. Does it not save lives?
I believe it does, without doubt. And our new vehicles now equipped with airbags, it's even more so important to have a belt on. Certainly that shoulder belt, to wear the belt properly. I see a lot of times where grown-ups will wear it underneath their shoulder, and that can also cause injury. But our airbags, our shoulder belts, are designed to prevent us from hitting that airbag, to restrain us when that airbag comes out.
Okay, so thank you. So when the car does this jolt, it's holding you back against your seat.
Yes.
Right? That's what's exactly supposed to do.
Yes, sir. So when the force of that airbag comes out, because it does come out at high speed, you don't have all of your body extended into that airbag. It does restrain you from hitting that airbag.
Yeah, I think they're coming from all different directions. We have to take our first break.
Okay.
Lead officer with the Prescott Police Department, Matt Medina, in studio today. Also, Lieutenant Ken Morley. Stick around. Countywide will be back in just a couple minutes.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're gonna beat them and bust them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Welcome back to Countywide. Good to have you along. I'm Paul David, Lieutenant Ken Morley from the Prescott Police Department, and lead officer Matt Medina also in studio today. We're talking about September 15th through the 21st. This week is National Child Passenger Safety Week, and we've hit on some adults as well. Now, when I did the story with you, Ken, just a couple weeks back, we were going through the list of the different rules and regulations on who has to be buckled up, who cannot be buckled up, what kind of seat you have to be in, and I thought it was still very confusing to me, just the difference in that. So maybe, Matt, you can clear some of that up for me.
I can.
And what age, size, weight, all that stuff. I think they've tried to make it simpler, but to me it still seems like parents still have to really watch their kids to find out whether or not what they should be in.
Well, we'll start with the front seat passengers. Everybody in the front seat of a vehicle must be secured in a safety restraint. Children that are under the age of 16 must have restraint anywhere in the vehicle, front or rear. Our children that are under the age of 5 must be in a child restraint system.
Under 5? Under 5
must be in a child restraint system. Now, if your child is from the age of 5 to 8 or under 8 years old, and they are not 4 feet 9 inches tall, they must be in a restraint system. If your child is 8 years of age, no longer required. If
Despite their height?
Despite their height.
Okay.
Yes, sir. If, say, they're 6 and they meet their 4 feet 10 inches, they don't have to be in a restraint system. They have to be in a belt. Now, I'm saying a belt, but not a child safety restraint system.
They can sit in a regular seat belt in the car? Okay.
Yes, they're deemed to be tall enough where that belt is effective for them.
Okay. Now, when do we go from this wonderful, very comfortable looking seat that I could totally take a nap in that thing in the back seat of a car, I tell you, that is beauty, to when do we go from this car seat, which I see, I guess this isn't even a seat for like a newborn, is it?
It isn't. No, our newborns are rear facing. The seat, there's always an instruction manual that comes with it. Owner's manuals, vehicles, perfect tool to refer to. This particular seat can be used in a couple different ways, but this seat, if it's in the front facing like this, your child should not, their head should not extend above the seat. So I would leave them in a seat like this as long as I possibly could. It is a safer restraint for them at any age or size, assuming they don't exceed the limit of the seat itself.
And the seat we're talking about, what is there a particular name for this type of seat?
There is. This is what we call forward. This is convertible, so it will work in different ways. There's 2 belt paths on this particular seat, so you can use this seat in a couple different ways. There's just rear facing. There's a booster. There's high back booster. So there's a lot of different seats out there. It has to do with comfort. You certainly want your child to remain in the seat, so if it's comfortable for them, they're more likely to stay in it. This, in my opinion, is one of the better seats because it provides more protection for them. This harness is very similar. I like to use kids that are with me that are a little bit older. This is the same type of harness that racers use in their vehicles.
Right,
so that,
I noticed that,
yeah. Yeah, and it's a 5-point harness, and that's what we like to see them in.
When does the booster come into play?
When your child is a little bit large for this, and yet not tall enough where the belt fits them properly, or like that 4 feet 9 inches.
4, 5, 6 years old, somewhere in there.
6 years old, yeah, I would say probably in that age this comes in. And like I said, the high back boosters, I like those. This is for a seat that has a headrest on it, so when the child sits in the seat, their neck from being hit from behind and extending backwards is protected. So if you had a low back seat, I'd want a high back booster. If I had one of those seats, say in a pickup truck that had those headrests and it fit my child, then you'd put them in here and there would be no reason not to use that. And it's more convenient for mom and dad.
But I'm a pretty strong guy. If I'm sitting in the passenger seat and I've got, let's say, my 3-year-old granddaughter sitting on my lap, I'm holding on to her. I'm good. I got my seatbelt on. I got her. I'm holding her. What's wrong with that?
You have absolutely no chance of holding that child in a 30-mile, 25-mile-an-hour accident. There's just absolutely no way. In a 35-mile-an-hour crash, it's 10 times the body weight, and you're just not going to be able to hold that child back.
So
and you're going to end up injuring.
They're gone.
Probably, yes, they're gone. Yeah, and we see it. We have seen it where mom or dad thinks they can hold that child. It's just impossible.
So just get a car seat.
Right.
What if I can't afford a car seat?
We have programs. Almost all police departments and even fire departments have programs where we'll get you a seat. You make an appointment, you call one of our technicians, they'll set you up with a seat, they'll give you the seat, they'll give you the booster, and then they'll put it in for you. Well, watch you put it in yourself and make sure that it's in there correctly. So there's really no excuse. We want everybody that has a child, whether it be an infant all the way up to 8 years old, we want them to have a car seat. We want kids to be properly restrained in the car so that if they do get in an accident, they're safe. So we have plenty on hand, and I'm sure the rest of the local law enforcement has the same program in place. So call your police department if you can't afford one. And they're nice. They're nice as this, out of the plastic. I mean, we'll give you a brand new car seat. Not something old and used or anything like that.
Right.
But, something brand new. So if you can't afford it, that's not an excuse. Well, you can afford the car, drive it down to the police station and pick up a car seat for your kid.
And how long does it take? I imagine some folks are probably like, oh, I got to go down to the police station and make sure I got this thing set in right. I mean, how long would it really take to do something like that?
30 to 45 minutes.
And that really shouldn't matter, should it?
It shouldn't. Yeah, it shouldn't. And we're happy to do it. So, and again, as my lieutenant said, we'll help you install it properly. And our goal is to make sure every time you install that seat, you're comfortable with the way the installation went and it's safe. So we're happy to do it.
You had some numbers. Do you have those handy right there in front of you?
I did.
I mean, they were pretty astronomical when you were reading them earlier. So go ahead and tell me those numbers again.
Yes, sir. Last night I did a little bit of homework and went on to National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, their website. And in 2011, it was the last time they posted statistics. We had 29,000 fatal crashes. 526 children newborn to the age of 9 lost their lives in those crashes. That's a very serious number, just one child. But 95,000 children from newborn to the age of 9 were injured in vehicles.
Wow, that's a big number.
That number has to change.
Yeah.
So as I said, I'm a father of 2. So, and honestly, my kids are older now, but I didn't install them properly in their child safety restraint systems.
They all seem like such simple answers to these problems that we have, but we still have these problems. And that's what boggles me, is that these things are here. They've been around for many, many years, but we still some don't use them. And it just baffles me when you could save a life, a little kid's life, and we don't do it.
And we were talking about that they can undo themselves out of the seat when they're,
Yes.
3, 4, 5 years old. It's and I think it's a little kid can be convincing. I don't want to sit in the seat. Do this, do that, and that we can't cave into that. I know, and again, I've done it myself. When my kids were small, and it's don't cave into that. Make sure they're properly restrained. If they do somehow work an arm free or whatever, get to a parking lot, find some place where you can get them buckled back in there, and make sure it's snug so that they can't bring an arm out. And that's important. I really think that's important that we don't cave into that. Because we want our kids to be happy and content, and we don't want them crying back there because they're in a car seat. So, but stay true to it. We don't want your kids getting hurt.
Better safe than sorry.
Absolutely.
Let's take another break. Lieutenant Ken Morley from Prescott Police Department is in studio today, along with Lead Officer Matt Medina. We're talking about National Child Passenger Safety Week, which is going on this week. I'm Paul David. Stick around. Countywide, back in just a couple minutes.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Welcome back to Countywide. We have 2 minutes left in the program, and before we leave, National Child Passenger Safety Week, call your local police department, your local fire department, see if they've got car seats. They'll be more than happy to sit down with you and get it in your vehicle properly, and if you can't afford one, they usually have some that they can get to you. DUIs. Here we go again. We all know you're not supposed to drink and drive. Well, of course, we can't do drugs and drive, but we're out there still doing it. Has it gone down at all over the years? I mean, have we seen less people DUI?
I think statistically we are. You know, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I really do. I think we are. I think we're doing a better job of enforcement. I think we're doing a better job of public education. And I think people are just making better decisions. You still have those people that are climbing in a car after they've had too much to drink. And it's a shame because there's so many options to that, you know. Yeah, you can designate a driver. You can walk home with friends. Don't walk home alone. There's just so many different things. I mean, like you said, there was a party where somebody was hired to drive people home, which is an excellent idea. In fact, you said he made some money because he was tipped getting home. And what a great idea! But find another way to get home. Don't drive. We're going to seize your car. It's going to cost you a lot of money. It may cost you some time in jail, and that's the good result. If you smash into somebody, I mean, you can get hurt. You can hurt somebody, kill somebody. Plus, you have, I mean, the costs associated with that. You know, for making one poor decision, just don't.
Can you lose a license for like a year?
You can.
First DUI, it's like
if it's a refusal, it's 90 days.
90 days.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
But your vehicle's impounded for 30 days.
It can be if you're a high BAC.
So yeah, what an inconvenience. I had a neighbor that got a DUI once, and it was the worst thing. He said he spent a year getting rides from people, and I'd have to take him to the store every now and again. It was just an irritation for him.
Right.
But the thing I don't get is these people get drunk, and we say drunk, but the drug thing is also a huge issue right now too.
DUI drugs.
Yeah, people just jumping in their car and then you plow into somebody and kill them. We've had a few midday accidents now, mid-morning accidents where someone's been DUI allegedly and has plowed into somebody. So, holiday season, you guys be out. DUI patrols, I imagine, pretty heavy throughout the holidays.
We will. Just figure we're out there. We're out there in force. There's a lot of things that are sponsored by the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, and we have task force, and we're looking for that specifically. We'd rather find none. We'd rather find a bunch of designated drivers. It's just, just don't make that bad decision. Make a good decision, and make that decision beforehand, before you start your partying, before you start your drinking, and you have a way to get home when maybe your thinking isn't quite as clear after you've had a few drinks. Everybody's Superman after that, me included, Matt included, I think. But yeah, make your decision beforehand.
All right, we're done. Matt Medina, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Great talk. Let's hope everybody gets car seats and boosters.
So.
Lieutenant Ken Morley, good to see you again.
Good to see you,
Talk to you every day, doggone it. It's a good thing.
Nice to see you.
All right, that's today's Countywide. I'm Paul David. We will talk to you again next time.
This has been Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. That's Countywide with Brad Miller and Paul David each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting station.